Meeny, dee, dee. Crack that whip. Do, 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 do. Here
Break
we
your
go.
rubber back,
Ah,
or something like that.
happy
Oh
Tooltip
God, it's been
Tuesday.
so long with Devo. I cannot. It was one of my favorite things. I love it.
Hey, everybody. It,
Hello,
it is us. It is me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes, and I've got,
Helen from Little Metal Foxes Down Under.
there you are. Hello from Seattle and
Hello.
Sydney. Um, boop, 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 boop. Like, all right.
We're Trans-Pacific today.
So, let's
We're
crack that
actually
whip.
Trans-Pacific every day.
Crack that whip. So, yesterday, of course, and we get so many good topics for Tooltip Tuesday from the participants
Or open to the,
and Open
yeah.
Studio. It is, they are so good and ask so many questions and show off new tools. And they were like, "What are you gonna do tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I think I'm gonna talk about that burnisher." And basically, you can create a burnisher for the flex shaft for reducing scratches, pits, and porosity. And you can buy it. You can buy one from Rio or any of the jewelry supply places, but they're really expensive usually. And it's way easier and cheaper to just make it. And I want to show you how easy this is because it's really simple. And if you're casting metal especially, um, sometimes where the sprue comes into your ring or into an object, you may find that it's a little tricky to, hang on here. Let me just do this real quick. I'm gonna sign in over here so I can highlight my
Zoom
camera.
in. We have some detail.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Where are
And then
you?
we can spotlight it because we have three cameras.
That's right. So here we go. Let's do this. Hello.
Hello. Ding dong.
All right. There you have it. Okay. So, yes, I see that. Okay.
Actually, make me co-host so I can spotlight you.
I will do that. There we are. And I will make you co-host. All right here, right, y'all. You can see that. Boop, 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 boop. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so anytime if you're doing any kind of casting or anything like that,
Mhm.
sometimes where the sprue enters, you get a little porosity from the metal where it's stretching and it's cooling and still hot in different areas. And sometimes you get like a little exaggerated pull in that area because you've got this trying to cool and your button that's still hot and the metal expands and it sort of creates like a pulling and the porosity appears on the surface of your ring. And it's not just on the surface, it goes all the way through the metal. So no amount of sanding is going to get rid of that. If it's a solder pit, trying to sand down to the solder pit a lot of times can thin the metal a lot. Or if you've got,
Mhm.
a deep scratch or something on the surface, sanding can thin it and hammering can thin it and leave hammer marks. So the solution is a whip burnisher or it's also called a pit pounder because a lot of times it pounds the pits out of your cast pieces. So
Yay. Awesome.
a pit pounder. Uh,
No.
so, but yeah, I'm gonna move my camera over here so you guys can get, I'm gonna show you how to make this because it's really ridiculously simple. So let me go over to my solder station here.
Yeah, and actually I have one of those pieces of metal that you're going to introduce.
Yep.
Just the other day, I need to dig it out of my trash
Oh, there you
so
go.
I can make one.
Yeah. So basically what I've got is a couple of old Dremel tools here that are, this was actually like a rubber ended um, piece that had like a Cratex cone on it. So it was just kind of the cone goes away, and then you're stuck with like these little, pieces of steel. And I use these for all kinds of stuff, and I put them in with
Mhm.
like my broken drill bits and items like that. So it makes it a little bit easier to pull a piece of nice steel when I need it. So I can use these
Yes.
for stamps and punches and all kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is actually bend it like this. And when you put it into the flex shaft, it actually like pounds the surface as it spins and smooths everything down. So to actually bend this, you're probably going to need a vice grip like that. And there we go. And am I highlighted there? There we go.
You are now highlighted.
All
Yes, it
right.
took me just a second to realize I need to be my co-host
There we
self.
go. Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, so I'm just going to take my tool and grab that with like vice grips. Easiest way to do it. But I also need like another pair of pliers to bend this with. And I'm just going to use my Smith little torch to do this. I got my big tip on here.
Awesome.
There we go. Big tip.
At the number 7 tip.
Number 7 tip, exactly right. And there you go. Adjust that down just a mite. There we go. So what I'm going to do, and it doesn't take but a second, heat this up to red. And I'm going to grab it on the end and just give it like a little bend. And it's that easy just to bend the metal at that point.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah. All right. So let this cool. You don't want to quench it. Quenching steel will really harden it too fast. You can throw it in some oil if you want, but just leaving it to cool is actually fine. This also anneals the steel. So if you want to cut off the end, it makes it a little bit easier. So at this state, you can set it down and put like a little brick on top of it, or, and that helps it slow down and cool a little bit more slowly. So at that point, you can file it, sand it, polish it, cut it with a saw, or anything that you
Hmm.
need to do. So once that cools down, I can just rinse it off and bring it over and polish it back up. So let's go over here, right over to the bench. Here we go. Let's get that. Ugh, right there. Aha. There we go. So
Perfect.
what I'm going to do is because these are pretty smooth, the ones that I've got, they already had a pretty smooth bottom and the sides are nice and slick. So I really just
Mhm.
need to kind of clean off the little crispiness that's on the metal. So what I'm
Yeah.
going to do is,
Soot
and you can
slash
see,
spalling.
see how that spins?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use my coarse sandpaper and do a little cleanup here. Let's sand it.
Yeah, and this makes sure that you're getting all the places that you would hit with the piece that you're trying to burnish.
Right. Because the back side of this, I'm not so worried about, but the front side is the part that I really want to clean. So the part that's hitting the sandpaper is the part that's going to hit the metal. And I just want to make sure that's nice and smooth because I don't want to be scratching up my metal, right?
Yep. Yep.
And work it up through your sandpaper grits until you get up to about your finest one. 600 is good, but I've got some 1200 here. And
Yep.
just,
Wendy says she made those with nails too.
oh yeah, nails work great. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Wendy. Yeah, just like that. And then I'll just, kind of work my way up until I get it to about, this is the 1200 grit sandpaper that I've got now. And just smooth that right down. Um, then what you can do is take a little bit of, I've got some chamois cloth here, boop, like that. And I've got some flits, which is awesome for this. Flits or Zam works really well, Fabuluster, something like that, that's good for polishing steel specifically. I really like flits for this particular process. I've been using flits on metal tools forever. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a paste polish like that, and it doesn't give you that like debris that a lot of the other polishing compounds will give you. So I can pick up
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit of that and just polish that right on there. There we go. So
Nice.
this will actually give me a really nice shiny finish on my tool. And Flitz is really
Mhm.
good at helping protect the steel, from rusting and stuff too. So there we go. So get that. You can see how much of the oxides are coming off on the surface.
Mhm.
There we go. And then I'm going to switch to just a clean piece of chamois cloth. And tooltip bonus, always have chamois cloth. That's great. But we do have a discount code for Flitz, and I love it because
Yep.
it's
If you go to our student resources, there's a discount for flits.
absolutely. And they have some other stuff that's really good that I like, that I use for finishing my steel, which is the I've got it's a ceramic finish.
Oh,
Uh,
the nano coating?
yeah, it's a nano coating. That is really awesome. So you can actually it makes it so slick. And I'll just spray a little bit on my chamois
Mm-hmm.
cloth. And that nano finish just makes this thing super slick.
Yeah.
Way better than using something like WD-40, which is hydroscopic. But yeah, nice little
Yeah.
burnish now. Look at that. Love it. And then I've got, if you want to seal it, the rifle gun and knife wax is great for steel. So I love these products from Flitz. They're great for polishing any of the tools in the studio. Okay, so now check it. I've got my ring here and it needs a little love where the sprue came in to this on the side here. So I can clean it up by filing and sanding and all that. But if there's porosity on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go all the way through the metal. So no matter what I do, I'm going to see that as I file.
So
So
you need to seal the outside basically. So because
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So what I'm going to do is use this little whip burnisher to just it kind of is like it's kind of like acting like a bouging hammer or a planishing hammer on the surface
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of brushing the surface with the burnisher really quickly. Um, and I've got it on medium speed. I'm not going too terribly fast. So what that does is just compresses the surface and smooths it down. And
Mm-hmm.
this actually kind of like it's almost like pressing all the air bubbles out of between two layers. It just kind of
Yeah.
squishes everything together, but it doesn't like flatten or change, distort the metal. I'm not losing any metal. So
Right.
this does a really great job of just smoothing it all down, kind of like a burnisher would by compressing the surface into the pits below. So, yeah.
Nice.
So I can kind of smooth that down, and I don't have to worry too much about the surface getting scratched up because it's all shiny. So a shiny surface with this is just going to be created. So if you have anything, you're like, oh, there's a little pit, you can kind of hit it with your whip burnisher like that, and you're good to go. So, I mean, this literally took me that long to make this tool and put it to work. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing else involved. Um, so yeah. Then Then if I want to sand a little bit or polish it up by hand, it's not going to take a whole lot of work. That's just going to be nice and shiny and smooth. And even under magnification, you'll see
Yeah.
that those pits are kind of closed down much tighter and
Yeah.
are not going to be as obvious, on the surface once you polish it again. Sometimes those
Yeah.
pits can be so big you'll catch like rouge and stuff in it while you're polishing. You'll see all these like little like that
Mm-hmm.
porosity in with the polish. It just sticks down in
Yeah.
these holes. So this will actually compress them, smooth it down, and make it much, much more durable. And but yeah, so you can make these in with different curves to them. I've got some that are a little longer, a little shorter, a little harder curve,
Mm-hmm.
but that's all you need to do. And I'm not having to press down real hard. Kind of like from the surface here, you can see, I just kind of
Yep. You just want to, it's like you're using the frosting wheel. You don't want to force it in there. You're just trying to get just surface, just
right.
brush the surface area.
Right.
And Wendy asked where to find chamois cloths, and you can get those pretty much anywhere. You can order them on Amazon. You can get them at your local hardware store,
Yeah.
your big
Auto
box
parts
stores,
store.
automotive.
Yeah.
Automotive would definitely have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
They're used a lot for like waxing cars and things.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, you could find them at Target in the auto section. You can find them at, you probably could find it at Bucky's if you're out east or
yeah.
down. A Bucky's chamois cloth, they probably have that. Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, any place that has like automotive, like waxes and finishing stuff will have chamois cloth. So yeah, there you go. Okay. It's fun to do. It's just a little like,
I know, it's so cool to look at.
yeah. So, and you can't really get it wrong, you just want to put like a little like curve. Some people bend
So
it a
why
lot
is it
farther.
curved?
Why is it curved?
Hmm.
The curve, if it was just round, it doesn't, like if I'm just using like the round part, the cylinder part, it will
Hmm.
spin and shine the surface, but that pounding action
Yeah,
actually
there's no
compresses the
pressure.
surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. It compresses the surface like a hammer handpiece would, but instead of hitting straight down, it's doing a striking blow, like a glancing blow, like a bouging hammer would do, rather than like a
Yeah, and
riveting.
that's why it's not really moving a lot of metal. It's
Right,
just moving surface metal to close out the pits
right.
or
So
scratches
that
or
so that little bend creates the amount of like hammering action that's going on. So
yeah,
each
it's
time,
like it's creating the hammering surface.
right,
Yeah.
but it doesn't leave a hammer mark.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, just that rapid little like ting 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 ting, and because I kind of balance it on my finger as I'm working to keep my tool from sliding too far in because I really want to use the bent part
Yeah.
on the surface, right?
It
And
just Wendy asked, what does having a tighter curve do? And that it's really more about the amount of surface that you have. It's not
right,
necessarily that it does more or less pounding. It's just
yeah,
the it's about the surface of the tool meeting the surface of the amount of contact
yeah,
between the two. So like if it's really sharp, you have less contact, and if it's
right.
more gentle curve, then you have more contact.
Right. So, I mean, if you're working a lot, and looking at this, you can kind of see how it's striking the surface. If I can go
Hmm.
slow. Um, let's do this. Let me get the right angle on here. So as this thing goes around like that, what it's doing is kind of glancing blow on the surface of the metal, right? You can kind of see how it like pounds it really smoothly and slowly. So it just moves up and down. If it's bent to too tight a curve, it's going to hit it more directly, and you really want sort of a nice glancing blow like this. So you can, just sort of take that glancing blow and rub that in different areas. So it's just kind of like boom, 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 right?
Hmm.
See how that's so it's not striking it, but like right there when it comes around, right? So keeping it kind of in that wiggle spot. It just sort of like smack, 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 smack. But it's doing it in from this side. You can see how far it's actually moving as it goes around, right?
Hmm.
Brush, brush, brush. But up and down, tap, 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 right? So
Yep.
yeah. So that's why that little bit of a whip works really nicely to compress the surface. There we go. All right. So yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I hope that
yeah.
helps. I know that, for those people that are like, how do I get rid of the porosity? And they start sanding, I'm like, no, stop this thing. Sanding's not, it's just going to get rid of the metal. It's not going to make the porosity go away. So, yeah, I mean, even for places like if you've got,
Yep.
a relatively thin back or something like that, or, a thinner piece that you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to I don't want to remove a lot of metal because the piece is already thin. It could even be, a larger area. The sprue area is most notorious for
Yeah.
leaving some pitting and some porosity. So yeah, that's what you do. Just beep 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 beep. Pound that pit. Anywho, here you go. All right, let me just switch my camera back over. Here we go. Yeah. So get yourself an old. Um, I don't like using drill bits because the fluting it takes up like half the bit. So I usually prefer something that's like um, an old
Buffing wheel, not
saw.
buffing wheel, but buffing bit or,
Yeah, yeah, something that's got a lot of shank to it. So if you've got, with the with drill bits, the problem is that they are half of that thing is taken up with the spiral. So if
yeah,
you're using something like an old wheel, like something like that, and you're like, okay, you can anneal this and cut off the part that you don't want, but anneal it first, and then you can saw through it. And yeah, there we go. Problem with like drill bits for this particular thing is like the flutes go down to here, right? So
yeah,
if I was using this end, I'd only have, about half an inch of burnisher, and that's really not quite enough. But
yeah.
yeah, look at some of your old like um like my Mizzy wheels, like mounted wheels like this are great because once you get all that stuff off, you've got kind of a nice long shank to be able to use for this purpose. But again, I really like using like old stones when they were down or the
Hmm.
mounted
Yeah,
abrasives.
the silicone. Yeah.
Yeah, those give me a really good tip and or a really good piece of metal to work with. So I really hold on to those. Um, and I have some that I've had, like some of those stones I don't ever use that I'm like, crack, just crush them off with a pair of pliers, and then I've got that tool. So,
Yeah. Yay.
but yeah, I think on Amazon, just taking a quick look here, if or Amazon or Rio or someplace like that that has a similar tool, like a whip burnisher. Come on, you. There we go. I think they can be really expensive, depending on what they're made out of. A lot of times they're made out of like tungsten or something. And
Oh Lord.
I'm like, I don't need tungsten. I just want a
We
piece
don't
of
need that
steel.
fancy stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Um, let's see if it's under whip burnisher on Rio. Um, no, it is referred to as a, let's see, burnishing tools. They've got a tungsten carbide burnishing tip from Swanson's that's like a straight tip, and those are $17.
Ugh.
And the pit pounders are hard to find. They've got the carbide barrel burnisher, and those are like $50. Oh, here we go. The margin roller is like ten bucks. The Rio margin roller can go up to like 41 bucks. So, I mean, some of those you don't need it to be tungsten. It can just be steel. And it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be annealed because it's going to be harder than your silver and your brass and your copper and bronze and all that stuff. So, and that's the other thing. Bronze is notorious for pitting as well and porosity. So this is a great thing for, especially if you're casting. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Cool. Yay.
Don't waste a piece of steel. Turn
No.
it to a new tool. There you
Woohoo.
go. All right. I hope that solves all your problems, people. Um,
Yes.
if you're using something else for burnishing, or removing pits from I mean, obviously there are ways that in casting you can like learn to sprue differently, make sure your metal's fresh to reduce any sort of porosity in your metal in the first place. But sometimes you just are going to have something you have to like smooth down. So this is your way to do that. All right. Did you like
Yeah. And did you subscribe?
and did you subscribe?
And
Because
did you check out our website? because we
Yes,
have all
please.
these kind of cool classes on our website,
We've got lots of fun classes
littlemetalfaucets.com.
coming up.
Yeah.
We do lots of classes coming up. We've got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, make sure you get down there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us so you know when we're live, and you can ask questions. And
Yeah.
we've got over 200 tooltips, people.
Yep.
So go watch them all. Lock yourself in a room and download all that information. You can watch it like a podcast in your studio. Just turn on tooltips, put
That's
it on
right. Actually,
random, and
that's a great idea.
just watch them all. So, all right. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week for Tooltip Tuesday. Bye.
Okay. Bye.